guests, professors, teachers, and my dear students. I, Dr. Bindu Dua, feel immense pride to stand before you all for the valedictory of two-day international conference on perspectives in teaching, learning, and assessment during COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to request Dr. Renu Gupta, chairperson my group of institutions, to kindly give a floral welcome to Professor Rajiv Ratan, today's chief guest of the valedictory. Ma'am, please. A pessimist complained about the wind, an optimist tries to change it, and a leader adjusts the sails. The sails of this vertical notion are adjusted by a person who is not only a great motivation for all of us, but a visionary, a person who gave us the belief to bring together this event. He is none other than our beloved principal and director, my College of Education, Dr. Adit Gupta, to give a red carpet welcome to everyone assembled here and joined online. May I take a pleasure of requesting our principal, sir, to please welcome the gathering.
A very warm good afternoon to all of you. We are coming to the end of this two-day conference that started yesterday morning when we had Professor Naresh Pada, Dean Academic Affairs from the University of Jammu, inaugurating it. I deem it my proud privilege to welcome our chief guest, Professor Rajiv Ratan, Honorable Dean, Faculty of Education, University of Jammu, to the valedictory session of this conference. We welcome you, sir, to this institution. I would also like to welcome Professor Sarika Sharma, who's connected online, who's the guest of honor for today's event. In fact, she was supposed to be here, but at the last moment, there was a visit to her university and she had to postpone her visit to the college. And in the phone call, she just said that she is missing to be here amidst us. And so we are, ma'am. We welcome you to this valedictory session. I would like to welcome our esteemed chairperson, members of the faculty of Meyer College of Education, Mrs. Rupa Gupta, Joint Director, members of our administration, members of the faculty, and respected research scholars from different universities and research scholars from Meyer College of Education. Before we go further, I would like to introduce our esteemed chief guest to all of you. So Professor Rajiv Ratan is a very renowned educationist and a researcher par excellence. He has over 27 years of experience in the field of education and has been solely responsible for creating a very vibrant research atmosphere at the University of Jammu. He has participated in renowned conferences, workshops, and seminars throughout the country, and is considered as one of the key experts in the field of educational technology. His work and his publications in renowned international journals speaks volumes about his capabilities as a researcher and as an educator. We are so very thrilled to have him amidst us because whenever he talks about education or areas related to education, he's always so passionate about the topic and his words of wisdom mean a lot to all of us. So, sir, I personally thank you to have accepted our request to be the chief guest for today's valedictory function. Professor Sarika Sharma is also a very renowned educationist. She's also the current dean and head of Department of Education at the Central University of Haryana, and she's also the director of the IQAC at the university. She has been, participating in numerous conferences, workshops, and has held very prestigious positions, including the registrar of the university till recently. She is a member of various bodies of the University Grants Commission and is an active member of the NAC clear team that goes on for accrediting institutions throughout the country. She has, also specialized in the field of development of MOOCs and is currently involved in various such projects, especially on the SWAYAM platform. And she has also been visiting our institution and is also, in fact, both Rajiv sir and Sarika ma'am are also members of the academic council of the college. So Sarika ma'am, very warm welcome to you. If you can, hear me
Thank you, sir.
online, so we would like to,
Thank you.
appreciate your joining us today, although in the online mode. In the last 2 days, we've had some excellent deliberations. We've had excellent keynote presenters from Australia, from South Africa, from Netherlands, from Malaysia this morning to talk, and also from India to talk on various sub themes of the conference. The interactions have been highly invigorating, and we've learned so many new concepts and ideologies which are being practiced in numerous universities throughout the world. And although we may not be on a different path from them, but we still have a little more miles to cover, a little more, accomplishments to make. And since quality is a never-ending process, we always need to go on the path of continual improvement. And on these conferences, these keynote addresses, the wonderful papers presented by the scholars today show us that there is no dearth of excellent researchers in our country, and we need to just make sure that our research is put to good practice and we are able to apply that for improving the educational system in our country, and to also involve more and more students as part of the research process. And the findings of this conference will be brought about in two publications. All research-based papers shall be taken up for publication in the MIER Journal of Educational Studies, Trends and Practices, which is a Web of Science Index journal, and all other papers would be published as part of a book which is going to be a peer-reviewed book with an ISBN number, and this book will be available both online as well as in offline formats. So these two important publications would be the result of the deliberations of this conference in the last 2 days. And I'm very thankful to all the participants, especially the ones who have joined us from outside the state, especially from Chennai, from Gujarat, from Rajasthan, from Delhi, from Himachal Pradesh, and from other regions of our union territory. And we had a total of about 183 participants with 75 paper presentations in the last 2 days. So our two esteemed faculty members will be presenting a detailed report as to what happened in those sessions and who did what. But basically, it was 2 days of high academic, work, and we should feel that blessed that we were able to hear such learned speakers and listen to these young researchers who are doing such excellent work. So I welcome you all once again to this valedictory, and hope and believe that the last 2 days were highly interactive for all of us, and you had a wonderful time, and it was a great learning experience for all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Talent and skills are crops that are to be nurtured, groomed, and given all possible opportunities to grow and bloom. It's time to present the report of day one of the conference. I would like to call upon the dais Dr. Nishtha Rana, Head CER, My College of Education, Jammu, to present the report. Ma'am, please.
Very good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Nishtha Rana presenting the report of day one of the 2-day International Conference on Perspectives in Teaching, Learning and Assessment during COVID-19 pandemic. The inaugural session started with the opening remarks and welcomed by Dr. Renu Gupta, Chairperson, MIRE. Then Professor Adit Gupta, Director and Principal, MIRE College of Education, apprised the audience about the conference. Professor Amit Kaur's delivered keynote address on the conference theme. Professor Naresh Pada, Dean Academic Affairs, University of Jammu, who was the chief guest, has delivered the presidential remarks. The convener of the conference, Dr. Nishtha Rana, who is also at Center for Educational Research, presented formal vote of thanks. There were two keynote addresses which were presented by Professor Michael Sankey from Charles Darwin University, Australia, and Professor Perry Den Broek from Wageningen University, Netherlands, respectively. Professor Sankey talked on the topic Rethinking Assessment Post-COVID, and Professor Brock shared the findings of a longitudinal study on university teaching during the COVID-19 period. A total of 24 papers were presented in three parallel sessions. In two sessions, presentations were made through in-person mode, and in one session, online presentations were made. The sessions were chaired by Dr. Jain Balia, Head and Associate Professor, Department of Educational Studies, Central University of Jammu, Dr. Ritu Bakshi, Associate Professor, Department of Educational Studies, Central University of Jammu, and Dr. Pargat Singh Gacha, Principal, GHG, Khalsa College of Education, Ludhiana. As contemporary higher education has been shifting the goalposts on teaching, learning, and assessment for a number of years now for different reasons like academic integrity, preparing students for world of work, and the push to provide constructively aligned teaching, learning, and assessment that can help students position themselves as emerging professionals. Findings corroborated from research studies presented in keynote as well as paper presentation sessions reveal that the advent of new technologies, staff and students have options. Due to the advent of new technologies, the staff and the students have options which did not exist earlier, and technology enabled education or online education is acting as a panacea, especially in COVID times. However, some methods are extra vulnerable, like practicals, exams, excursions, and there are no clear or widely available solutions. The concern has been shown about continued increased workload and stress of the teachers. There is a need for more predictable change and clear or stable policy on it. Teaching strategies must be active, collaborative, and authentic so as to produce more socially useful students. Teachers also need assessment mentors for creating knowledge banks as well as for conducting tailored exams as per the student's needs or the need of the time. There is a need for monitoring innovation or change which can help to adapt while implementing change. Proctoring system to monitor each student should be conducted for fair and valid exams. With this, I conclude the day one report. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for presenting the day one report in a very comprehensive manner. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. Mulraj Sharma, Head PG Department, My College of Education, to present the report of day two.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected Chief Guest, Guest of Honor, Chairperson, Director, Line Director, faculty members, students and participants. So I am here to present the report of the day two. This is the day two started with the two keynote addresses, which were presented by Professor Veena Giridharan, Dean Learning and Teaching, 13 University, Malaysia, and Professor Jaco Olivier, UNESCO Chair on Multimodal Learning and Open Education Resources, Northwest University, South Africa, respectively. Professor Veena talked on the topic Reimagining Higher Education, Technology-Enriched Learning, Teaching and Assessment. Professor Jaco Olivier deliberated on self-directed learning through renewable assessments, student as producer in open education. Then session 8 was the paper presentations, in which a total of 37 paper presenters were there, and these sessions were conducted in offline and online mode. Out of 2 sessions, presentations were made through in-person mode, and other 2 sessions were online. The sessions were chaired by Professor Sarika Sharma, Professor R.G. Kothari, former Vice Chancellor Veer Narmad, South Gujarat University, Surat. Professor Deepa Cox had Department of Education, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. and Professor H.R. San, Controller of Examination My College of Education, Jammu. The last session, session 9th, was a keynote address by Dr. Ram Sharma, Pro Vice Chancellor, University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, Dehradun, India. He elaborated upon the topic how to create MOOCs on budget. So I'll not talk much about the derivation because all the participant has gone through those all, because in these 2 days we have a lot to digest here, and we have heard about many new concepts, whether it was related to the case study from Australia or a case study from South Africa, or the last was, you can say, regarding self-directed learning and the MOOCs. So these were the derivation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for presenting the comprehensive report. The fragrance of flowers spread only in the direction of the wind, but the goodness of a person spreads in all the directions. Ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted to have Dr. Sarika Sharma as a guest of honor of this valedictory ceremony. Professor Sarika has joined us online. She is presently working in the Central University of Haryana. She is a head Department of Education and Dean School of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. She has an experience of serving teacher education institution for last 20 years. Professor Sarika has served as Proctor, Hostel Warden, and Chairperson of Complaint Committee of the University. She served as a member of University Court Executive Council and Academic Council. She has written more than 50 papers in UGC listed journals. She has developed psychological standardized tests which were published by international publishers. Professor Sarika has served as coordinator of MHRD scheme of Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya National Mission on Teacher and Teaching. Under this scheme, she has developed MOOCs on personal emotional development and counseling, which was hosted by UGC Swayam platform as annual refresher program in teaching. Arpit also is working as convener of cell for person and disability with disabilities. She was a member of preparing educational technical terminology at Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, MHRD, Government of India, a specialization in educational administration and management, where she is working on inclusive education setup. Recently, she has attended the flagship training of MHRD Leadership Academician Program. Professor Sarika was conferred as Best Researcher Award in Social Sciences by Central University of Haryana. She has delivered large number of lectures at national and international platforms. I request you, ma'am, to please address the gathering. Ma'am, please, you unmute yourself.
My greetings to each and everyone, and I'm really very glad to be a part of this conference. And I also acknowledge this next sponsored 2 days international conference, which is being organized by MARI College of Education. This college is, I am having a long association with this college. And the area which the college has selected is perspective in teaching, learning, and assessment during COVID-19 pandemic, which is the most pertaining area to discuss at this moment. Before I begin, I just would like to acknowledge and say thanks to Dr. Renu Gupta, Dr. Aditi Gupta, who has invited me in person for this conference, but due to some of the immediate or urgent engagement, which day before yesterday arises, so I joined in an online mode. And truly speaking, I'm really very much missing to each and everyone at this particular moment. I also give my greetings to Professor Rajiv Ratan Sharma, who is also one of my known fellow colleague, and he is also a renowned person in this area and a rising star in this area. discussed at the valedictory session. Perspective in teaching, learning, and assessment during COVID-19 pandemic. So during COVID-19 pandemic, many of the things has been changed. Many of the things has been redefined in different areas. So first of all, we should know that what the teaching, learning, and assessment is, which we all know it, and how we have make a big shift from the formal mode to the online teaching, learning, assessment process. So, because the teaching is defined as an engagement with learners to enable their understanding and application of knowledge, concepts, and process. It includes the design, content selection, delivery, assessment, and then feedback, or you can say reflection or evaluation, whatever it is. So to teach is to engage students in learning, and therefore teaching consists of getting students involved in the active construction of knowledge. Now, this active construction of knowledge is now becoming online during this COVID pandemic. A teacher requires not only knowledge of subject matter, but knowledge of how students learn and how to transform them into active learners. So good teaching is required a commitment to systematic understanding of learning. And since last 2 years, because of this pandemic, we all know that how we are giving or imparting the knowledge into the classroom. So the aim of teaching is not only to transmit information, but also to transform students from passive recipient of other people's knowledge into active constructor of their own and others' knowledge too. So the teacher cannot transform without the students' active participation, of course. So we all know that what kind of active participation was there. And teaching is fundamentally about creating the pedagogical, social, and ethical conditions under which students agree to take charge of their own learning, individual, and of course, collectively. So learning can be says as the active or a process of gaining knowledge or skills by studying, practicing, being taught, or experiencing something, whatever you would like to, and whatever is being taught. So learning is about what students do not, or not about what we as a teacher do. An assessment is one of the important component of teaching and learning process, which is a systematic process for collecting information that can be used to make inference about the characteristics of people or objects. So assessment is referred as a process of collecting evidence and making judgment relating to the outcomes. It is said that assessment has a narrower meaning than evaluation, but a broader meaning than a measurement. So assessment is considered as a part of a teaching learning process, very pertinently it has been taken, and often characterized as assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. So how far we reach to achieve these goals, or how far we move from the formal assessment system to the online mode of teaching and then taking the assessment. So combined process where an educator assess learning needs, establish specific learning objectives, develop teaching and learning strategies, which implements plan of work and evaluate the outcome of the instructions. Learn more in current and future trends in higher education learning and its implications in curriculum design, curriculum delivery. So method in which the knowledge of teacher is transferred to their students, it can be developed through different systems. It can be so real action time or period of imparting knowledge, skills, and attitude to adult learners by the adult facilitators or through the electronic media. We understand that COVID-19 has a huge impact on teaching across the world, and coronavirus disease pandemic caused a significant disruption to teaching and learning activities at all the levels. Faculty, students, institutions, and parents have had to rapidly adapt and adopt the measures to make the best use of available resources, tools, and teaching strategies. And while much of the online teaching pedagogies have been theoretically and practically explored to a limited extent, and the scale at which these were deployed was unprecedented. So, this has led a large number of researchers to share challenges, solutions, and knowledge during this point of time. So the main aim for this work was this COVID-19 and the teaching learning process and assessment which every institution has taken up is, we can take it as a kind of a model makeshift from the face-to-face to the online mode. Lockdown and social distancing measures due to the COVID-19 pandemic have led to closure of all the schools, training institutions, and higher education facilities in most of the countries. And when we talk of our country, then we could see that in a daytime, in a one day time, everything is being shift from offline to online mode. And there is a paradigm shift in the way educators deliver quality education through various online platforms. If somebody instruct us, or our academic leader says, or sometimes the UGC will say that you have to go for complete online system, then nobody will accept it, and nobody will say that yes, I can do it. But a situation came in such a way that everyone has done it. Actually, everyone has done it in a very, very effective manner. So there is a very big paradigm shift in the way of educators and delivery or quality education through various online platforms. And during this time, every teacher is putting a lot of effort to give the quality education to their students, and students are also cooperating in many of the ways. So the online learning and distance and continuing education has become more and more effective, and it has been seen that these kind of education is very much required if any such kind of pandemic comes. Many institutions have adopted complete online system. So the use of suitable and relevant pedagogy for online education may depend on the expertise and exposure to information and communication technology for both teachers, means the educators, and the learners. And some of the online platform used so far, including unveiled communication and collaboration platforms such as Microsoft Team, Google Classroom, Canvas, Blackboard, which allows the teachers to create educational courses, training and skill development programs, and many other things. So it relies on various sources of learning from teachers, peers, and many of the focuses on work integrated learning. So the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted many of these involving in person interaction with peers, and much of the curriculum has been adopted to an online format. The long-term consequences of which is yet to be recognized, and the changed format is likely to impact learning pedagogy, which is affecting both students and teachers. We all know that we required a systematic approach of evaluation or assessment of online teaching, where there is no systematic approach. Our approach is systematic, but the system is not ready to be a kind of a systematize each and every evaluation system or the examination system. So online education is the delivery of learning material using internet for the student and student teacher interaction for the distributing educational materials. Over the last decades, with advancement of technology assisted learning, teachers have started using online platform to promote self-directed learning and assessment in students. There are various challenges, of course, in teaching learning, and broadly speaking, we need to identify these challenges, and some of the challenges is being identified, like e-learning are accessibility, affordability, flexibility, learning pedagogy, lifelong learning, and educational policies. So many countries have substantial issues with a reliable internet connection and access to digital devices. And sometimes these challenges make our student and teachers as well, sometimes, somewhere, although teachers do not do, because teachers are very simple in nature and they just want to impart the knowledge to the students. But the students sometimes take a lullaby कि हमारा नेटवर्क कनेक्शन नहीं है इसलिए हम क्लास नहीं ज्वाइन कर पा रहे हैं. तो ऐसा भी बहुत कुछ इस इन चैलेंजेस से सामने आया है. सो while in developing various kind of online courses, and while in transacting the online curriculum, we could find out that there are so many challenges. One-to-one interaction is there, not there, and sometimes some people are also using some words like one-to-one interaction is not there in the classroom also. For every student in every class, we cannot interact to the every student, but facial expressions makes the interaction. We do not ask question to all the students, but there all the students facial expressions make us understand that yes, they understand what you are saying or what you are speaking. So this really help us in this online teaching or online teaching learning process. And we cannot say at all that this face-to-face learning process is not very good, can be replaced with the online learning, but it can be used in a blended mode. So perspective in teaching, learning and assessment during the COVID-19 pandemic, we all know that how this teaching learning process has been taken place. All the teachers has taken a lot of effort, not only in preparing the PowerPoint presentation, but also in preparing the videos, so that some students, if missed their class at that particular point of time, can reuse their video lectures also. So during this time, we learn so many kind of competencies in developing the video lectures, which were not earlier, and which were not earlier, even we do not feel like preparing the video lectures. I've prepared one MOOCs on personal emotional development and counseling, and it is a equivalent to one refresher course, which is being recognized by UGC and hosted on Swayam platform also. So during that time, during the preparation of that MOOCs, I came to know that there is a lot of resources is required, lot of technical support is required, and lot of time is required to prepare a structured online, to prepare a structured video. So it is very difficult to prepare a structured video in the lack of resources. And then if we teach, just I'm teaching, I'm giving my lecture here, if we teach without knowing whether the student has understand or not, a student most of the time says that yes, 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 okay, okay, they know it. Sometimes they put their queries, but one query cannot be answered in the online mode. It is being observed that 100 students are there, so you cannot solve their queries all the time and every time. But if we are in a face-to-face mode, then certainly their facial expressions make us understand that whether they are able to understand the content or whether they are not able to understand the content. So actual thing which we learn, because the main crux of this keeping this international conference on perspective in teaching, learning and assessment, what I understand is actually that we learn to cope up with the unlearned areas, where, like preparing of the videos or teaching through online mode. Initially, I also teach and I speak in a very, very loud voice. I thought that students are not able to listen me. Actually, students are not there in front of me, but they are connecting with the online. But slowly and gradually, I learned that if I speak in a low voice also, even the students can understand. even then they can listen me, even then they can hear me. So slowly and gradually, we learn most of the things because of this COVID-19 pandemic, and there was a great shift from the offline to online mode. And now again, when we are in a offline mode, this is an advantage, that as I'm not able to come to attend physically in this international conference, I'm putting my words through online mode. So this is one of the greatest advantage which we get, and we learn out of it. Earlier it was not, that every time or everywhere nobody think of, if somebody is not able to come, then we do not allow them to come online. I mean, this doesn't come in our mind even to accept the speaker in an online mode. So with these words, thank you very much. I have put my some of the views on this perspective in teaching, learning, and assessment during COVID-19 pandemic, where each and everyone has done a lot of efforts in putting the teaching learning process, and as well as the examination system, which is a part of assessment. So thank you very much. Thanks to the organizers who has invited me and given me this opportunity, at least on this online mode. Thank you each and every.
Thank you, ma'am, for presenting your views on online teaching, learning, and the challenges which we really faced during that pandemic time. So, thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. So, nothing great will be achieved without great men, and men are only great if they are determined to do so. Today, we are honored to have with us Professor Rajiv Ratan, the Dean, Faculty of Education, University of Jammu, as a chief guest. Sir, I take the privilege to introduce you. Sir has 27 years of experience in the field of teacher education. Okay, sir. Fine. He's a teacher and a researcher par excellence. Sir, I request you to please come on the dais and give your presidential remarks, sir, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to one and all, and especially to the chairperson of the Meyer Group of Colleges, to Director, Professor and Dr. Adit Gupta ji, Joint Director, Mrs. Rupa Gupta ji, as well as the many other faculty members to whom I am getting across, and they are really very distinguished gathering out of all of these batches of the people who are available. Well, the students and the scholars, once again, a very good afternoon to all of you. And long live the soul of Professor Arun, who is just in front of me, and it's a very nice posture, which is always there to encourage us to do well in the times. Well, as I have come to know, I will be cutting short all of the. I know many of you may be feeling a bit of anxiety to sit over for a long period of time, because it's very difficult to listen rather than to act, and so it's more important to act. So I will not stop you to act. Keep on acting with yourself. keep on doing with your mobiles. You will be all time busy, but do keep an open ear also to this side also. Thank you very much. So at the very outset, I'm really very happy to be here, and really grateful to the management as well as the organizers of this wonderful conference and the wonderful theme, because most of us are still grappling with COVID-19 and its effects. But I really congratulate Meyer Institute, which is a model institute of education research already in its own way institute, as well as now going to be a more prestigious because of getting associated in number of the activities. The theme has been chosen in a very apt way, because the perspectives of teaching learning in COVID-19, almost every one of us is aware of. But to be more tuned to it and to listen to all of these developments. It is in a research-oriented manner. It becomes a wonderful way to interact. The second is, which is more pleasing to me, is that all of us, whether it is at Jammu or somewhere else, we are all still grappling up whether to hold an online or offline conference. But you have taken the lead for the greatness of the Mumbai. Because I was just thinking, yeah, we are also to conduct it. But every time there is see, people won't be coming. Now the UGC has recently issued a letter. No, PhD vivas are to be conducted online. Again, it has reverted back to online. So in case if it is online, then how the experts would be agreeing to come down to Jammu? Definitely there is going to be an issue. So सोचते हैं जरा देखते हैं. So that's how. But by the time I got the message that you have achieved the goal, thank you very much, and God bless you all. Now, when we were talking with Dr. Ajit Gupta, we were talking of flexibility and many other things. We were talking about some of the things. In the last 2 years, rather 3 years, we will call it as, since 2019, if COVID-19 we are considering it, last 2 years happens to be a most wonderful as well as the most achievable years. As far as the educational context is concerned. One of my other person is sitting out there. I just got you. Ruchika is sitting out. Okay. So there is, of course, because you were there in the department yesterday only. All right. So although to rest of you people, all hi and bye, because I do not know you. So only out of the one of the how I can recognize, only then I can say it. Of course, you people are already recognized, and these people are my seniors. So when we were talking about all of these issues, COVID, two things happened. One was national policy, which came up in 2020. The second was COVID-19. And both of these are so major developments in the field of education, and particularly for a country like India, which is growing at a very rapid pace. But COVID-19 has put a lot of brakes on its development, on the economic growth, social growth, as well as the technological aspects which are associated. Of course, we are using technology now, and that's a wonderful thing which has happened with us. But I will call it as necessity is a mother of invention. Out of the compulsion, we have to use it. Otherwise, had it not been a COVID-19, I think we would not even have dreamt of using that so excessive use of technology for the classroom interactions. So, taking all these contexts, I will be putting 3 assumptions. Okay. I hope all of you understand assumptions. The first assumption which I would be taking up, of course, my apologies to Professor Sarika. Madam, I think she is connected.
Yes,
Oh, madam, good afternoon. Sorry, out of all my excitement, sorry, I forgot to mention you.
No worries, sir. I'm enjoying listening you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was looking out for all of you people and thinking that in evening I would be getting an opportunity to have a dinner with you. Rather, I will be hosting the dinner from your side, from Professor Amit and Professor Deepa, and we would be sitting out somewhere and we would be having some of our good times. But somehow, because I was not getting a call from any of the quarter, that's what I was talking to Dr. Adit, that I am not getting a call, even though why it is not getting a call, then I suddenly started to know all of you have joined online and I am the person who has been asked to join offline. Okay. So I will be
सेम
putting
सिटी
the
होने का बेनिफिट लेते हैं ना सर, थोड़ा सा तो है ना. जी जी, प्लीज
I
कंटिन्यू.
will, yeah, I will be taking three assumptions. First assumption is uh, that assumption regards that we are going to have blended mode of learning, teaching learning. And second assumption is that technology is always going to stay with us in the teaching learning mode. And the third assumption, which I am placing it up here, is in regard to that we will be having some sort of a contingency plan for the future, so that in case if any of these such pandemics or even epidemics situations may be created out of the man's curiosity or because of the our own some experimentation nature, and because of other reasons otherwise, we may have a situation to grapple it up and the students may not have to suffer. Regarding the first assumption, the blended learning, teaching learning, yes, you are going to have the now learnings through MOOC, you are going to have the learning online, you are going to have the offline, you are going to have the SWAM, you are going to have the multiple platforms through which you can learn, and this is going to stay throughout the life. Forget the days when we used to have only the offline mode, we are going to have the dual mode, even sometimes we may be having a triple mode, depending upon your capacities and the capabilities. So this thing, it is going to be there. And so be prepared. All of you are the budding teachers, all of you are going to face that tomorrow. So you are going to have this second technology is going to be an integral part of our kit. We used to have the pen in our pocket and chalk in our hand. We used to now have our mouse or the laptop or the smartphones with ourselves rather than carrying the pen and the chalk. And this technology is going to be very, very fundamental. This technology is so going to be important that gone are the days when many of us who were either out of our own some reasons or we were just making out our shy nature out. No, I don't know how to use technology. Gone are the days, gone are the pretext and all of those whims. You are to be the user of the technology, you are to be the user, you are to be the even abuser, I will call it as. Even if you have. Abuser, why I am saying it? Because if I am teaching for 5 hours or 3 hours in a day, definitely in case if I am to use the technology, then it is a sort of an abuse. Because this is a too excess use of technology. And anything which goes into excess, it's an abuse. So whether it is a food, whether it is something else. So anything, it will be a abuse. So whether you become a user or you become an abuser, the choice is yours. But this is going to stay with us. And the third assumption is regarding the plan. What we do have for our future? Suppose, of course, we all pray that fourth wave will never happen and should never happen. But let's have a out of all of it, even a 10% that there is a wave-like situation. And what would be our preparation? Have we done out with our some coursework? Have we done out with our some course material? Have we done up with some replacements of our subjects with some skill-oriented courses? Or it would happen like it has happened in the past that everyone in the board exams is getting 95%, 96%. And it's then going to be a mockery. It's not going to be a mockery. It's going to be a crowd at the top. And the crowd at the top is going to always very difficult to manage. So it is always important, and the institutes like Meyer, the colleges like the autonomous universities and the others, they can definitely take up a lead into it. We have to build up a plan. We have to develop our course. We have to show our strengths, and that can be certainly we may have to put that across the students that so and so you can do it in this very way, you can do it in that very way. Of course, when we cannot reach for the practicals, what are the replacements of the practicals? Everything has to be done out in a charted way. So this is going to be a very not expensive, I will call it as, but very exhaustive and a comprehensive way of handling such pandemics. So be prepared with it. Our as a role, ours is a very important role because we are always considered as a leader. Teachers, they are not only the leaders, they are also to be the readers. What I am calling it as READERS. We have to read the perceptions also. We have to see the pulse of the society also. People are not happy at presently. Let me share with you. Although we have conducted our exam through online, many of the students are saying, but I say it because I am conducting a research. Already I was sharing it with Dr. Adit that I will be placing a paper here. We try to see what about the effect of the people, those who have always sluggish, and how they have performed during COVID. Because every parent was telling, हमारा बच्चा कमजोर हो गया, हमारा बच्चा कमजोर हो गया, हमारे बच्चे को वो सब खराब कर दिया. So what I did is I took up a sample of such people from the different Kendriya Vidyalaya and took up a sample of those people, and we are putting it, and there have been a very wonderful result for it. I'm just putting up across here that the people, those who have been sluggish, those who have been not doing well in the academics, they were such people, those who were not doing well in the COVID also. So parents need not to put a finger to you that so teacher ने तो कुछ नहीं करवाया, हमारा बच्चा नालायक हो गया. वो पहले जो था वो था भाई, उसकी एक परफॉर्मेंस थी और उस परफॉर्मेंस को हमने इसको चेक करके हमने प्रेडिक्ट कर दिया what it, and we will be also predicting in the times to come what will be the outcome at the 12th class. हम यहाँ तक भी predict कर सकते हैं. We can parcel out some of the reasons and we will be showing it. Yes, after 12th class में ये result इतना आने वाला है तुम्हारा. We can do even that. So we are to be the readers also. Okay, that's it. Another thing which is to be there with all of us is to be, we have been always going with the 3 R's, right? Need not to tell you, but we need to reinvent these 3 R's. What is it? We should go with the relationship, we should go with the recreation, and what we should go with, there is to be how this is to be done up in a way of rejoicing. So these 3 R's, relationship with the society, relationship with the person, relationship with the environment, and all these things. And then recreation. How we are creating up all of these things, we have to see to into that very way. And then we have to see to that very way that once we are recreating all of these things, we have to see that how this is going to be in a regulated way. You see in the COVID-19 what has happened. Oxygen supply was blacked. Bed supply was totally shown as not available. These are the 3 values which you are going to put across yourself as a part of your integral part of the personality. You are to have a regulation with yourself. You have to have a recreation and readjustment. Recreation through your mobiles. Gone are the days here. पर हर समय मोबाइल को ही पकड़े हुए रिजॉइस करते हैं. Even now I am finding out the people are happy. That's why because they are the kids, so I can allow them to have it. Okay, as we do it with the kids. Okay, have it, and then please be silent. Similarly, we are putting out keep on doing with your mobile. I will be delivering out my keynote. So whatever the way it would be, the important thing is the 3 R's is 1. Put it relationship of yourself with the ecosystem, with the environment, so that you can prolong this environment and your stay on this planet can be prolonged. Second, the act of the recreation or having your recreation. Don't always look out for the recreation from the mobiles and from the technology devices. Go with your friends, play in the evening, go in the open, have your choice, go with your grandpa, grandma, and that is your another way of a rejoicing. The third, yeah, that can be anywhere you can have it. And the third one is your regulation. Don't always be a hoarder and a grabber. Try to be a minimal user. And whether it is a water, whether it's electricity, anything, these are going to be your values. And then put 3 C's with R. What are the 3 C's? One, have a community feeling. Okay, have a communication. And once you are having a community and a communication, then what else is? Make it as a classless. Don't divide yourself with the caste and the creed. Make it as a classless. Communicate with everybody and make it as a commune, as a one person. And that is what is the development. That's what is the development index of the society. Development index comes out of it. So you will be having 3 R's, you will be having 3 C's, and besides to that, the 3 assumptions, keeping all these things in control. You see, we have been living out with one sort of a model for the last so many years, which I call it as list. Okay. Before list, I will come out with another model which is called as a best. B is for our education model is okay. Students कहेंगे class ले ली इसमें कोई. B stands for belly. Okay, BE stands for belly. S stands for sleep. And T stands for tiredness. Okay. Our education system was with it. We were having, and this I am quoting it from Plato's point. Okay. There was a almost 3,000 years back. In case if you will go deeply into the Plato's, you will find where Plato had a one night session with his fellow beings, and in the morning when the sweeper came to clean out the surroundings, we did found that there was a lot of wax because the candles had burned in the night. Throughout the night it was burning, and many other wax was available. He asked Plato, "Jinaab, क्या बात? रात को बहुत चर्चा चलती रही क्या?" कहा, "हाँ, बहुत चर्चा की." इसी चर्चा भी क्या थी कि सारी रात चलती रही. बहुत गंभीर समस्या थी. गंभीर समस्या क्या थी? जरा पता लगे. So Plato was a sort of a, I'll call him, means not I, but people consider him as a fascist. A fascist first strain is that he would avoid the masses. He would not come, he would not try to get along with the masses. लोगों को पीछे रखो. I am the superior and so my superiority should remain. तो लोगों के साथ नहीं मिलता वो. उसने कहा ये क्या है? He's a person. ये ऐसे मेरे से पूछ रहा है. I am a philosopher and he is asking me कि रात को चर्चा क्या हुई. So he asked to him. जरा ये interesting किस्सा सुनो. तो उसने कहा कि जनाब बताओ. उसने कहा लंगर लगा हुआ था. तुम्हारे को खाना पेट भर मिला? कितना मिला? सोए? आराम से सोए थे तो कभी काम करने आए. This is it. तुम्हारा काम क्या है कॉमन मैन का? Only to fulfill your belly and to have a sound sleep, and then to feel yourself tired. तुम्हारा कोई काम नहीं होता. हम लोगों का फिलोसफर्स का बहुत बड़ा काम होता है. We have to work. उसने फिर क्वेश्चन कर दिया. बताओ सर क्या हुआ रात को? हाँ, बड़ी गंभीर समस्या. जरा बताओ तो सही. गंभीर समस्या ये थी भाई कि हम सभी लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि घोड़े के कितने दांत होते हैं. उसने कहा ये इतनी छोटी सी समस्या, मेरे को बुलाया होता मैं हॉस्पिटल में जाता, गिन के देता आपको दांत कितने। कहता तुम बेवकूफ, मेरे समझ नहीं आया। कहता क्या बेवकूफी ये? देखो, वी हैव टू गो विद द रियल थिंग्स। कोई वहां पे घोड़ा 2 साल का होगा, ही वुड बी हैविंग ए लेसर। कोई 25 साल का होगा, ही वुड बी हैविंग ए worn out things। कुछ के 2-4 एक्स्ट्रा निकले होंगे। How can you find out which one is the real and is a model case? We were all discussing. तो हमारी ये गंभीर समस्या थी। So you are the common man, we are above the common man. So आपका एजुकेशन जो बनना है भैया, it is to be this way। ये बेस्ट वाला था मॉडल आपका, belly, sleep and tired। What I want you to be in the way of list। LI is for live, S for survive and T for thrive। First you live out your pandemics, then you survive out with your colleagues, and out of the colleagues you thrive then, and you will succeed। So when you will be having all these things, you would be finding out that the things are going well। ठीक है, अब क्या बना बात आगे से? हमारे अभी भी ना एक मामला ये है कि हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी तो बहुत बढ़िया है, बट आवर साइंटिफिक एटीट्यूड इज वेरी पुअर। अभी भी कुछ देर पहले हम कहीं पे, मैं पता नहीं किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे था, I was telling them that we are not teaching the science because we know how to understand science, we know how to teach science, but we do not know how to create the scientific attitude of the people। वो अभी भी हमारे पास नहीं। अभी देखो तो बताइए एक एग्जांपल आपको, चलो बच्चों के लिए थोड़ा सा वो खुशी वाला काम हो जाए। भैया गलीलियो को तो सुना है ना आपने? कोई गुलेल मत सुनना, गलीलियो ही सुनना भैया, गलीलियो गलीली। हाँ, who had done out with a telescope। Yes, he was an astronomer, he was a physicist, he was a surveyor, he was a geographer, everything else। बाकी कुछ स्टडी करना होगा तो नेट पे करो उसको। What he did was, he did out a study in that regard that yes, there is a solar system and planets move in around the sun, and the earth goes around, and the church was against that and everything, you know the story, I am not going to in the details of it। And now when all of these things were happening, he was given a chance कि जरा ये तुम explain करो तो। He showed it through the telescope, ये चीजें हैं। There is a scientist known as Massey, Harrier Massey। He died in 1983। Okay? At that time, somewhere in 80s, he has spoken that you see, the science is still not in the realms of India even by today। In the 80s he has spoken। तो अब जरा सोचना जाए तो देखते हैं उसमें क्या है। Every one of us, including myself, I won't place myself out, otherwise no, it will be a consultant thing, otherwise फिर वो कुछ और बात होगी। So okay, and he said India has not yet been able to get into the science। It was a very quick thing, it was a very pointed sort of criticism of India। तो जरा करेंगे क्या? उसने कहा एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ। एग्जाम्पल उसका नहीं है, मैं दिस इज व्हाट इज आई टेल यू। हम लोग सारे हॉरोस्कोप देखते हैं ना, हॉरोस्कोप में क्या है कि शनि की दशा हावी हो रही है, बुध कमजोर हो रहा है, वीर पकड़ रहा है शुक्र, भैया सब ठीक है, वो तो सोलर सिस्टम में हो रहा है, अर्थ का तो पार्ट ही नहीं है, तो शनि हमारे पे क्या करेगा? और अभी तक हम उसको चलाए जा रहे हैं। हमने अभी तक वो साइंस को किसी ने निगेट नहीं किया। आज भी पेपर में आता है, पहले हॉरोस्कोप देखते हैं, सुबह का दिन कैसा है। जबकि धरती से अब जो शनि का चक्कर है, प्लेनेट सैटर्न है, वो सन के आसपास घूमते हैं ना, वो धरती के आसपास तो नहीं घूमता। धरती तो अपने ही एक पूरी मूवमेंट करती है। वो तो in the very unnatural way there happens the eclipses. तो जब eclipse होता है तो पता लगता है कि yes, now there is a sun in between the earth and the moon and something like lunar and solar, आप उसको define करते हो ऐसे। So this is the way we could not still come out with a scientific attitude in our teaching learning. So this is the way now in the COVID pandemic, post COVID-19, we should be doing it up. And should be including a lot of things like clarification and criticism. Should be putting up the things like yoga and the body, the atma and the body, and all these things, philosophical, because NEP is doing it. But how this is to be done, this is the part of the teachers to do. So I think when we will be doing it up, there are a lot of things also. So वो ghost machine वाली भी बात है, everything. So with all of this, I conclude my saying and conclude my words that it has been one of the very best time for all of us. All of us are very lucky. We have survived pandemic. We have come out of it. Our families may have suffered. Our extended families may have suffered, but we are very lucky to have survived this pandemic. And so we should be always looking out for the future opportunities to bank upon the best of the opportunities available in the times to come, and to be the best of the teachers and the best of the persons as a human beings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your deep knowledge. Your words were really full of enthusiasm and energy, as I could see the students listening to you very empathetically and very effectively. Now, I would like to request Dr. Renu Gupta, chairperson, a leader who has a capacity to translate a vision into reality, to kindly give a memento to the chief guest, Professor Rajiv Rath.
Not mine. And your encouragement.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Gratitude is the fairest blossom which springs from the soul. Every conference is an experience. The external fades away and the internal lingers and echoes in the most depth of our hearts. We are reminded of these events like milestone in the journey of our life. So as we are close to draw the curtain on this two-day international conference, I would like to invite Dr. Sarika Sharma to formally propose the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
It's time to acknowledge everyone's effort. Indeed, it's a privilege and honor for me to present today's formal vote of thanks. First of all, on behalf of all of us present here, I would like to sincerely thank our worthy chief guest, none other than Professor Rajiv Rath, Dean Department of Education, University of Jammu, for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest for our valedictory session of today's program. It is indeed a matter of great pride to have such an illustrious educationist like him amidst us. We are truly blessed to have your warm company, sir, and blessings on this great event, and pray and wish for many more to come. I would also like this opportunity to thank today's guest of honor, Professor Sarika Sharma, Dean and Head, Department of Education, Central University of Haryana, for virtually being with us and gracing the event. We are very blessed to have Dr. Renu Gupta, Chairperson, Meyer Group of Institutions, and a mentor for all of us for being with us and gracing the event. Thank you, ma'am. We are very fortunate to have a young, dynamic, and progressive director and principal, Dr. Adit Gupta, for his continuous guidance and support. Sir, thank you for giving a new direction to my group with your expertise, thirst, and plunge in ICT. And I would like to compliment you being the editor of my Journal of Educational Studies, Trends and Practices. Your journal is really helping scholars directly or indirectly for conducting research in a true spirit. My thanks are also due to Mrs. Rupa Gupta, Joint Director Meyer, and Professor H.R. Shah, Controller of Examination, Mr. B.L. Bhatt, A.R. Meyer, and Mr. P.P. Sharma, A.R. Meyer, for their generous presence. I also thank Dr. Moolraj Sharma, Head PG Department, for his support and for presenting an exhaustive report of second day of the conference. I thank Dr. Nishta Rana, Associate Professor and Head Center for Educational Research, Meyer, and the conference convener for presenting an elaborative report of first day of the conference proceeding and for very well coordinating the conference under the able guidance of worthy principal. I also extend my thanks to Deputy HOD, UG Department, Dr. Monica Bajaj, IQAC team, faculty members of both UG and PG Department, and staff of Meyer for their coordination and team spirit. Last but not the least, I thank all the keynote speakers and the participants for contributing to the cause of research. I thank technical staff for uninterrupted technical support, media and publication committee, and Mr. Somdat for covering the entire program in a most befitting manner, and team hospitality for taking care of organic needs. My thanks are also due to the students of Meyer College of Education for performing their duties with full zeal and energy. I also thank my colleague, Dr. Bindu Dua, for coordinating the valedictory session in a well-coordinated manner. Once again, I thank one and all. Thank you so much.